Hi, this is Pete from Top Deck Cards and Games here, and I'm going to show you some nifty little text that you can put into your various Pokemon decks. Now, what we have here in front of you is a Keldeo EX. Now, Keldeo here is more commonly used in the popular deck with Blastoise, Keldeo, and Black Kyurem. But I'm going to show you that you can actually throw him in just about any deck that you want, with this wonderful little trainer next to him, Floatstone. Now, to explain what this does, Keldeo EX's ability here states, once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may switch this Pokemon with your active Pokemon. So, as long as he's on the bench, you can just push him up into the active. Now, what that will do is it'll help you move a Pokemon you do not want in your active out. So it puts him up in place. But say you can't really attack with him, or you can't really use him. We have this wonderful item right here, a tool card, Floatstone. When this is attached to a Pokemon, it states this Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost. So easily what you can do is attach this Floatstone onto this wonderful Keldeo EX, like so. And then that way, if an opponent forces a Pokemon into your active slot you don't want there, you can use Keldeo's Rush-In to replace him, and then use Keldeo to retreat to bring in something else on your bench you wish. It's a fairly useful ability. Also the fact that Keldeo's attack requires all colorless energy, so he can theoretically attack in any deck. He definitely is more suited in a water type deck, but you have options. It's a nice little tech to get yourself out of any particular binds. Some other techs we're going to go over. Both of these. Suicune from Plasma Blast, and Sigilyph from Dragons Exalted. Now, the unique thing about these two is they both have the exact same ability, Safeguard, which states prevent all effects of attacks, including damage, done to this Pokemon by Pokemon EX. So these are fairly solid cards to use against what is essentially a lot of decks in this format. Everybody uses EX in some way, shape, or form. So this is a good way to stop that. However, with the new Plasma sets, it has introduced Team Plasma Pokemon, in which case they can be kind of a pain. Another thing that you can add in is another Pokemon tool card, right here, Silver Mirror. And what this states is, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage, done to the Pokemon this card is attached to, excluding Pokemon EX, by your opponent's Team Plasma Pokemon. So now, you could attach this onto one of these Pokemon here, and not only can they not be affected by EX, but they also cannot be affected by Team Plasma, meaning that only normal Pokemon can affect them. And currently, with a lot of our format, we have a lot of Team Plasma, very powerful Team Plasma cards, and a lot of powerful EXs. So these guys here can be really good, at least putting in your active position and just letting them sit there not taking damage while you get everything else on your bench set up. Now, the main difference between these two cards is obviously their types and the way that they attack. So if you want to include these in your decks, I would try to pick one that has more synergy with your deck. With Sigilyph here, it's going to function a lot more with a Psychic-based deck, like Deoxys, Mewtwo, anything like that. Its attack's fairly powerful too. For one Psychic and two colorless, it does 50 plus damage. It does 10 additional for each energy attached to the defending Pokemon. So if you're going up against something really heavy, the more damage you're going to do. Suicune's attack isn't as graceful, but still not bad. For one energy and two colorless energy, it does a straight 70 damage. Now, the big difference between these two is Sigilyph only has a 1 retreat cost, and Suicune has a 2 retreat cost. That can easily be alleviated with the prior mentioned Keldeo tech, or you could attach Floatstones to them and retreat them, or you can just use this trainer switch to get them out. Sigilyph has the upper hand if you don't have those options because it's only a 1 energy retreat. But things to think about, and they're quite useful techs. Another tech that can fit into just about anything here is Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is more of a I'm just going to hang out on your bench all day sort of card. And Mr. Mime's unique thing is his ability, which is Bench Barrier. And it states, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by attacks. So if you were going up against, say, a Plasma Kyurem or a Darkrai or anything like that, they can't do any additional damage to your bench with Mr. Mime in play. He does not have to be active, just as long as he's in play. So he can be fairly, decent. And at the same time, even if your opponent catchers up Mr. Mime, forces him into the active position and knocks him out, he is only coughing up one prize, while it still buys you valuable time on your bench to get set up. So it's a risk-reward sort of deal. He can be used essentially as fodder. Your opponent may pick off Mr. Mime so he can start damaging your bench, but now he's focusing his attacks on Pokemon that you're not even setting up to damage. So, things to think about. With that being said, you can still attach a Silver Mirror onto Mr. Mime, prevent Team Plasma attacks against him. But that's something for you to decide. And lastly, the final tech we'll cover today is Absol. Absol is not so much of a utility tech as he is just an all-around attacker. This is a Team Plasma Pokemon, and he's really used for his first attack. His first attack requires 1 darkness, 1 colorless energy, does 20 plus damage. Deals 20 more damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. In this current format, we all run a lot of big basics. And a lot of basics, especially against other Team Plasma decks, who try to fill their bench with Pokemon as much as possible. For essentially 2 energy, which can be supplemented with a blend energy or a prism, you can output 120 damage. That's a lot of damage for very cheap cost, and Absol is a basic. It's not an EX, so it only has 100 HP, but it's a lot of damage when you need it in just a clench moment. His second attack isn't as bad either, but probably won't see as much play. 1 darkness, 2 colorless energy, 60 damage. And your opponent has to reveal their hand. So you know exactly what's in there, you know exactly what they have that they can use to try to counter you. So it can give you some decent insight as to what to expect during your opponent's next turn. And that's it for text today. Be sure to check us out